Thanks very much for joining me. Let me give you the good news and the bad news. The good news is that last Thursday afternoon at a beautiful and moving event, I had the privilege of swearing in Zohran Mamdani as the next mayor of New York City. At a time in our country's history when we are seeing too much hatred, divisiveness, and injustice, Zohran's victory inspired the nation to believe that we can have a government that represents all of us and not just the wealthy and the powerful. Further, at a time when people in the United States and around the world are losing faith in democracy, over 90,000 New Yorkers volunteered for Zohran's campaign and knocked on millions of doors. Together, they took on the Democratic establishment, the Republican establishment, the President of the United States, and some enormously wealthy oligarchs, and defeated them in the biggest political upset in modern American history. They showed the world the most important lesson that can be learned today. When working people stand together, there is nothing that can stop us. This is a lesson that will and must be replicated in cities and states all across our country. Zohran's opponents have called the agenda that he campaigned on radical, communistic, and unachievable. Really? That's not what I believe. That is not what you believe, and that is certainly not what the American people believe. In the richest country in the history of the world, making sure that people can live in affordable housing is not radical. It is the right and decent thing to do. And in the midst of a massive housing crisis all across this country, it is exactly what the people of the city and what Americans want and need. Providing free and high-quality childcare is not radical. Countries around the world have done it for years. It is what our kids require if they are to be well prepared for school and what working parents desperately need. It is, in fact, what every city in America should be doing. Free bus transportation is not radical. It will save workers time and money, protect our environment, and make the city more efficient. Making sure that every family in New York, regardless of income, has access to decent quality food at an affordable cost is not radical. Good nutrition keeps us healthy and helps prevent chronic illnesses. In the long run, city-sponsored grocery stores will actually save money. Lastly, demanding that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes to help fund the needs of working families is certainly not radical. Today, while 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck, we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had. While tens of millions of Americans struggle to pay for food, healthcare, housing, and other basic necessities, the top 1% have never, ever had it so good. And yet, there are billionaires out there and large corporations that pay almost nothing in taxes. That has got to end, and that's what Zohran intends to do. That is the good news. And for those of us who believe in democracy and economic, social, and racial justice, it is very good news. But here is the bad news. On Saturday, just 2 days after Zohran's inauguration, Donald Trump once again showed his contempt for the Constitution and the rule of law with his attack on Venezuela. Let's be clear. The President of the United States does not have the right to unilaterally take this country to war, even against a corrupt and brutal dictator like Maduro. The United States does not have the right, as Trump stated, to run Venezuela. Congress must immediately pass a war powers resolution to end this illegal military operation and reassert its constitutional responsibilities. Trump's attack on Venezuela will not make the United States and the world safer. Quite the contrary. This brazen violation of international law gives a green light to any other nation on earth or any terrorist organization that may wish to attack another country. And they will use Trump's action in Venezuela as their rationale. Trump did it, why can't we do it? Trump and his administration have made it clear that they want to revive the Monroe Doctrine, the belief that the United States has the right to dominate the affairs of the hemisphere. They have spoken openly about controlling Venezuela's oil reserves, the largest in the world. Let us not hesitate to call this policy out for what it is. This is rank imperialism. It recalls the darkest chapters of U.S. intervention in Latin America, which have left a terrible and destructive legacy. As many will recall, Trump campaigned for president on an American First platform. He claimed to be the peace candidate. Well, at a time when 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, when our healthcare system is collapsing, when people can't afford housing, and when artificial intelligence threatens to wipe out millions of jobs, it is time for the president to focus on the crises facing this country and to end military adventurism abroad. Trump is failing in his job to run the United States. He should not be trying to run Venezuela. So, that is what we have seen this week. On one hand, we celebrated a major victory for our progressive movement. On the other hand, we witnessed a reactionary, oligarchic government at its worst. Needless to say, these are crazy and tumultuous times, and everyone feels a bit overwhelmed. But this is what I honestly believe. If we are smart, if we are disciplined, and if we are focused, the future will reflect the vision that Iran laid out in his speech on Thursday, a vision that many of us have espoused for years. The American people do not want oligarchy. They do not want authoritarianism. They do not want hatred and a massive level of income and wealth inequality. They want to live in a vibrant democracy with a government that represents all Americans and not just billionaire campaign contributors. The struggle that we are in will not be easy, but keep the faith. We will win. Thank you so much for all that you do. Happy New Year.